I first started hearing jazz altogether, people like Ellington and Lester Young and Count Basie, when I was in high school, and I had just come out of a private school. So in other words, when I was around 13 or 14, and I was living in New York, and of course, one almost could not avoid hearing great jazz at that time. This is now, we're talking about the late 30s, early 40s, because there was jazz on, and on all the network stations at 11:15 every night. The news was 15 minutes at 11, and all the big bands came on. And by that time, all the networks were connected, so you could hear Count Basie from Kansas City, or Benny Goodman from Los Angeles, or wherever they were. And that's where I first heard Prez. He was not the first jazz artist that really knocked me out or influenced me in any way, because that was Duke Ellington, and that was because Duke Ellington is a great composer in addition to being, a pianist and band leader and all of those things. But I then began to hear about Prez and the information about him grew a little bit personally when I met John Lewis of the Modern Jazz Quartet, who was by that time a very close friend of Lester Young's, having in fact accompanied him on several tours already. And so then I heard about this personally more about, beyond the music, what kind of a person Lester Young was, very gentle, quiet, almost shy kind of person.
Do you recall any of those stories that John told you about Albuquerque, for instance?
Well, he did. He even mentioned to me how he first heard and met Lester Young, and it's a little hard to believe, but I think he said it was in 1929 when Lester Young was touring. And he came to Albuquerque, where John Lewis was living at that time. Yeah, and John said, now for both John and me, for John, when John told me about this is a long time ago and a long time after he had seen Lester Young. But what John said was that he was surprised how different Lester Young sounded from all the other jazz tenor saxophonists. So I was one of the first to hear. No one had written about it to that extent, about how special Lester Young and how he created a whole new school of tenor saxophone playing.